So at the beginning of the 2026 ski season, I made a video setting myself a list of goals at each ski resort I planned on visiting this winter. Some of the goals went very well, and others I still need to work on. In this video, I will be doing a recap on how all those goals went. Now before we get into the video, I do want to apologize for the dog shit audio quality. Unfortunately, the microphone I typically use to record these voiceovers with stopped working on me right before I started recording today. So now I had to fall back on my headset mic, and that's not really the best of quality. So hopefully by the next episode I'll have a new mic for you, and hopefully just as good if not better audio quality from my usual videos. Thank you for understanding, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. What is happening, everybody? I hope y'all are having a fantastic Friday. This Friday is so fantastic because we are now officially halfway through the off-season. Yes, we are now officially closer to Arapahoe Basin's opening day for the 2027 ski season than the closing day for the 2026 ski season. I know the 2026 ski season didn't necessarily go quite as planned, but hey, a mid-ski season is better than a good off-season. So here's to a hopefully better snow season in 2027. Hopefully the Super El Nino does deliver. Colorado's water reservoirs are thirsty and desperately need it. But anyway, let's talk about how those damn goals went. So the first mountain I set goals for the 2026 ski season was Copper Mountain. I had my two bucket list runs, which were Iron Mask and Schaefer's. I did a run on Schaefer's with my friend Lincoln, also known as Link Skiing. Unfortunately, Iron Mask did not open at all this season, so I was not able to attempt that. Also for Copper Mountain, I did have two runs I was open to doing, which were Lalarukin off of Copper Bowl and Boulderado off of Tucker Mountain. Unfortunately, I was not able to get to those runs this season. They were open for a very short and limited period of time, and I just wasn't there when any of that stuff was open. Anyway, despite only being able to complete a quarter of those goals, I would say that that was a success, given I did the hardest one on the list, and it wasn't really my fault that I wasn't able to get to the rest. The next mountain I set goals for in 2026 was Winter Park. Now I didn't have any specific runs I wanted to do, just two different pods I wanted to hit. Those pods were the Cirque Chutes and the Mary Jane Chutes. I have skied a run off of the Cirque one time a couple seasons ago, but I have never done the Jane Chutes. Unfortunately, despite Winter Park getting the most snowfall in Colorado in the 2026 ski season, Winter Park was the slowest to open terrain, and unfortunately none of that stuff ended up opening at all in the 2026 ski season. So better luck next season. The next mountain I set goals for in 2026 was Arapahoe Basin. My goals were to do the North Pole off of the east wall. First, second, or third notch, I didn't care which. I just wanted to get my marks on the east wall. I also set goals to revisit the steep gullies, try out Bald Spot, and Gentlings Glade, which they now renamed Gentlings Glade to Davo's Glade for reasons I cannot explain. I was confused when writing the script for this video. I was wondering where the fuck Gentlings Glade was on the map, just to find out they renamed the damn thing. Unfortunately, just like Winter Park, none of the goals worked out because none of the stuff opened. So more runs I need to follow up on next season. The next mountain on my list is Jackson Hole. Now this one I was more hopeful about since Jackson Hole did get much better snowfall than all of Colorado. I find that interesting since they're only one state over, but somehow they get all the snow and then we don't get shit. But I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't know how any of that works. Unfortunately, none of that was happening when I was there. The weather must have saw me coming and decided to cancel its plans to ensure Eternal gets fucked. Because I definitely did get pretty fucked on that trip, both literally and figuratively. Unfortunately, the only thing I was able to complete on that list was the Rendezvous Bowl, which wasn't even that much of a challenge, except for the couple of times I did it in zero visibility. That was fun. Corbett's did not open, and Shot 9 did not open. In fact, none of the Casper shoots opened during my visit. And the most depressing part and shocking part about all of this was that SNS Couloir didn't open. I thought for sure that it would be open because I was really hoping to do that. Now, moving on to Steamboat. Steamboat was another one I didn't get to complete much due to the lack of snowfall. The vast majority of my goals were off of Fish Creek, and unfortunately Fish Creek never opened at all in the 2026 ski season. Even if Fish Creek missed my Steamboat trip and still opened later, I was planning on driving up just to ski that stuff. But unfortunately that never ended up happening either. I never thought that Fish Creek would be as snow demanding as the east wall at Arapahoe Basin, but I guess it is. The one run I was able to knock off that list was Chute 1 off of Mount Werner, which was open during my Steamboat trip. It was quite a bit sharky skiing that, especially the farther out I got from the last storm. The rocks definitely started to expose themselves quite a bit. Very disappointed that I never got a chance to ski Fish Creek this season, but hopefully next season I'll get it. Now, we just talked about all the mountains I was able to complete much due to the lack of snowfall. These next 3 mountains I'm about to go over, I didn't run into that issue, and this next one I had no issue being able to complete all of my goals. The next mountain on my list is the Aspen Mountains. I was able to complete every single one of my goals. I completed the AMF in Ptarmigan at Snowmass. I got a handful of runs in the Heroes at Ajax, even did a 5-foot cliff drop. I also hiked the Highland Bowl for my 4th time ever and completed it in 44 minutes, and that was without the snowcat running. Which, if you have ever hiked Highland Bowl before, you would know how much that hike would suck if you didn't have that help from the snowcat. This time was my first time skiing the actual bowl, as usually when I do it, I will go into the trees on the skier's right of the bowl. I took the full curl line down the Highland Bowl, which I believe that run is what my friend Curled Seeker has been seeking for since the beginning of his fucking existence. But maybe not so much anymore now he goes by the name Wagon Wheel Productions. Anyway, that is all I really have to say for the Aspens. That trip was definitely a success, except for when I bruised my shoulder at Snowmass on the last day. That sucked. Sadly, I can still feel some of the pain from it today. So this season, to escape the snow drought in Colorado, I planned a last-minute trip to Banff. One of the resorts I visited in Banff was Lake Louise. Lake Louise, I was able to complete a lot of new runs. The goals I set for the season for Lake Louise were Upper 5, the Alphabet Goalies, and the Heart. I did the Alphabet Goalies and the Heart. Unfortunately, I decided to schedule my Banff trip for late January instead of late March. Had I booked for late March, I would have probably gotten to do Upper 5. Those of y'all who watched my goals video I made at the beginning of the season may notice I changed Upper 5 from green, which stands for planning on doing, to now gold, which means bucket list. I totally didn't realize when I was making the list and picking runs that I wanted to try out that Upper 5 is no longer a marked run, and it is rarely open now. Anyway, I am very happy with that trip. I've gotten to do so many other cool runs outside of the ones I have listed on here, so that was great. I've shared videos throughout the season of me skiing the H goalie and I goalie, as well as I did the gnarliest entrance into I goalie with my friend W. And last but not least, the other ski resort I went to when I was in Banff was Sunshine Village. On my list of goals were to ski Wheelers/Pato's off of Wild West, the Delirium Dive, and Hell's Kitchen off of Goat's Eye. Now I completed the Delirium Dive and Hell's Kitchen, but unfortunately I was not able to make it to the Wild West when it was open. So someday I gotta take a trip back to Banff to hit those. It was a bummer I missed the Wild West, but I am stoked I got to do the Delirium Dive. The zone that Arjun didn't even get to do when he was there. Unfortunately, I'm not necessarily proud of the way I skied those runs, so I definitely want to go back and do them again better. So Sunshine Village, I would say I accomplished a few really good goals, but I still got business to do there. At the end of my goal list, I put down a few skills I wanted to work on throughout the season. The first skill I had put on there was I wanted to work on keeping my skis closer together. The next skill I wanted to work on was better positioned and timed pole plans. The third one I wanted to work on was to do more jump turns, which I think I did that one very well. One run this season where I really showed off this skill was when I was skiing Baby Ruth at Snowmass. And the last thing I put for my skills is basically a combination of the last 3 points, where I just wanted better overall looking form. Now I would love to show off my ego and say I did good at every single one of those skills on that list, but I really think that it is up to you guys to judge it on this in the comments. Let me know down below if I improved well at those skills, didn't improve at all, or I just suck at skiing altogether, or that I'm just too retarded to ski correctly. Let me know down below what you think. Probably everyone's gonna vote the last one, let's be honest. Well, those were the goals I had set for the 2026 ski season. I do plan on making this same list for my goals for the 2027 ski season, but I'm still trying to figure out which ski resorts I'm going to go to for the next season, as I have had a few reservations that did not work out, so I gotta find backup plans for those. Hopefully this next season, I will be able to complete more of my goals, as the weather just did not want to cooperate last season, and that was incredibly frustrating. Hopefully this is just a temporary weird weather pattern, and is not some long-term climate change after effect. Hopefully next season's Super El Nino will deliver for Colorado and pull us out of this drought. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Please leave your feedback down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.